Hello there, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Let's talk about something truly terrifying. Haircuts. Specifically, pandemic haircuts. Remember those dark times when salons were closed and we were left to our own devices? It was a period of uncertainty, and our hair certainly reflected that. Let's just say it makes Edward Scissorhands look like a master craftsman. The scissors were dull, my technique was questionable, and the results were, well, let's just say they were memorable. Picture this. Me, armed with rusty kitchen scissors and a YouTube tutorial narrated by a cheery woman named Bubbles. She made it look so easy, but reality was a different story. Needless to say, it did not go well. The more I snipped, the worse it got. Each cut seemed to take me further away from the stylish look I was aiming for. The result? A haircut so atrocious it could frighten small children and curdle milk. It was a disaster of epic proportions, a true hair-ror story. But hey, at least it was a bonding experience, right? Right? We all shared a collective laugh and learned a valuable lesson. Some things are best left to the professionals. Now, what does my butchered Barnet have to do with multiple sclerosis? Well, aside from both being potential sources of existential despair, not much. You see, MS is a complex neurological condition. It's not passed down like your great aunt's fruitcake recipe. Some diseases are simple. You get a gene, bam, you're a superhero. Or you have to start liking cilantro. But MS is more like jazz music, unpredictable, improvisational, and occasionally makes you question your life choices. Genetics do play a role in MS, but it's messy. Think of it like a giant pot of genetic gumbo. There are tons of ingredients, genes thrown in, each with its own subtle flavor. Some might make you a more likely to develop MS, others a less likely. One gene, HLA-DRB1*1501, is like finding a whole hot pepper in your gumbo, a bit more noticeable. Having this gene doesn't mean you're getting a MS diagnosis served alongside your next bowl of gumbo, but it does increase your risk. Don't panic and demand genetic testing just yet, though. Section 4, Keeping It in the Family MS Edition, Fun for the Whole Family. This section is all about understanding the genetic connections within families and how they relate to MS, except maybe those with MS. So how much of this genetic gumbo do you share with your family? Let's dive deeper into the fascinating world of genetics and see how it impacts the likelihood of developing MS. Let's play Who Wants to Be a Geneticist? Imagine you're on a game show, and the question is about the genetic risks of MS. How well do you know your family's genetic history? If someone randomly chosen from the US has a roughly 1 in 350 chance of developing MS, what about their cousin? 2%. Your half-sibling? The risk is also around 2%. But what about your identical twin? Also around 2%. Your identical twin? The risk jumps significantly, a much higher 31%. This shows how closely related individuals share more genetic material, increasing the likelihood of developing MS. The closer the relative, the more ingredients you share from the genetic gumbo pot. This means that while your cousin might have a lower risk, your sibling or twin shares more of your genetic makeup, increasing their risk. But remember, even with a family history, your individual risk is still relatively low. It's important to understand these risks, but also to remember that many factors contribute to the development of MS, not just genetics. Section 5. Environmental evildoers, blaming it on the Epstein-Barr virus and other stuff. Now here's where things get really interesting. Even if you hit the genetic jackpot, or should we say jackpot you'd rather not win, environmental factors play a huge role in MS. Think of it like this. Your genes hand you a set of loaded dice, but the environment gets to roll them. The Epstein-Barr virus, low vitamin D, smoking, even where you live. All these can influence whether those MS dice roll a critical fail or a lucky save. Section 6. Minimizing your risk. Because even if you win the genetic lottery, you can still lose the health raffle. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? You might have inherited the best genes in the world, but that doesn't guarantee a lifetime of perfect health. So, what can you do about all this? How can you navigate the complex interplay of genetics and environment to live your healthiest life? Sadly, you can't swap out your genes for a shiny new set. Your genetic makeup is what it is, a unique blueprint that you can't change. And short of living in a hermetically sealed bubble, stylish but impractical, you can't completely shield yourself from environmental hazards either. You can't avoid all environmental risks either. Pollution, stress, and other factors are part of modern life. But you can stack the odds in your favor. Don't smoke, get enough vitamin D, maintain a healthy weight, and exercise regularly. These small changes can make a big difference. And maybe consider moving to a less stressful place. Stress management is crucial for long-term health, like maybe a tropical island with cocktails and those little umbrellas. Imagine the serenity and peace. Hey, a comedian can dream, can't he? But seriously, laughter and joy are also important. They say laughter is the best medicine after all.